Hey, it's Carl from carcoart.com and sidehustleartist.com. In this video, you'll discover how to successfully take on commission work as an artist. So by the end of the video, you'll understand how to generate commission work and how to produce your commission work starting today, even if you've never done commission work before. So let's go from the top. What is commission art really? Well, the difference between commission art and a piece of art that's for sale at a gallery or an exhibit is the buyer knows exactly what they're getting with a piece of art for sale at a gallery or an exhibit. It's completed and it's in full view. With commission art, they only have a speculative idea of what they'll be getting in terms of hiring you to produce the work. Therefore, when it comes to commission art, it's a good idea, though it's not a necessity, to do some legwork in terms of building your potential client's confidence in you as an artist. After all, your client will be buying a sight unseen, so to speak. So therefore, your correspondence with the potential client, it needs to be honest, regular, and punctual. What you will essentially be involved in is an ongoing business relationship that will last for as long as it takes to have the work produced, or longer should the client wish to commission you for more work later on in the future. And as you'll be keeping in regular contact with your client, there are some key factors that you may want to consider before you commence any commission art project. One would be keep an open mind to your client's suggestions. So in other words, be flexible with the ideas they wish to have incorporated in the artwork. Number two would be you need to accept that it is a business partnership in some respects. Therefore, you do need to exercise people skills. Three would be know your customer well and precisely what they want to have produced, and find out what they don't want incorporated into the piece as well. Number four, make sure your client is going to be rational and has realistic expectations about what to expect from you. And I'll address some of these points in more detail further on in the video. But for now, let's get to where it all really begins. And that is, how do you generate commission art clients? If you've never sold a piece of art or never produced any work via commission, don't be spooked. If you're thinking, I'm lost already, I get all this building relationship stuff, but where do I even find customers who will hire me for commission work? Where do I actually start? Okay, so if you like the idea of doing commission work, that's a really good start. And if you have that desire, that's really going to work for you. So desire is a major motivating factor to have. So now, how do you find the people who want their art personalized? Well, try to always make a point of mentioning that you do commission art on all your promotional material. And I have a little message that accompanies all my promotional material, and it reads, yes, I do commission work, but only for you and no one else. Yeah, it's a little bit cheeky, but it does actually work for me. So here's some ideas as to how you can get started with getting your word out there. Business cards, perhaps have a call to action about commission work that you do on the back of the business card. Also promotional flyers and pamphlets, or your email signature file, put it right at the bottom, a call to action to your reader to inquire about doing commission work. In your press releases and articles, you can make a brief point that you do commission work in there. On a display notice at your next art exhibit, as I mentioned before, I have a promotional card that is displayed when I exhibit to let people know that I've done and also do commission work, and even sometimes have pictures of the actual work. On your website, of course, or your blog, make it known, but you don't need to put it in every single post. People will generally get the idea. Social media, which is an obvious one, and in your online and offline advertising, if you are advertising anywhere, perhaps maybe not at the moment, maybe early days for you, but in your gallery bio and information details as well. In some cases, it's kind of a given that you'd be open to doing commission work because you're an artist. But what I mean, if people like your existing work, for the most part, it doesn't take much for them to ask or be motivated to ask you if you do a commission work. But my point above is that it's always great if you can reinforce that you do commission work on all your promotional material. And what you'll find is there are people who will really like your work, but they'll and because they like the painting, but the size isn't right, or they like the style, but there's a bit too much yellow and so forth. So never ever get disgruntled with these comments. In fact, you should get excited, because these types of people are really good to follow up with. All you need to do is express genuine interest in what it is they want, and soon you'll have a commission client. So take a record of their contact details and follow up with them. That way you can point them back to your website or your blog via email, or you can even phone or send out a personal letter. And what tends to happen on occasion is the person gets all excited when they see your work and the idea of having their own piece personally made for them. Then they go home and the excitement wanes and they get lost in their own life, and their memory of you starts to drift and they lose motivation to contact you. So it's your responsibility to make sure you follow up with these people, and don't be afraid to make contact with them. They actually want to be contacted. They've simply just been distracted with daily life and got a little lethargic about calling you in regards to getting that artwork produced for their home or their office. And just to quickly sidestep, another avenue you may want to consider is registering your business details with Google Local in your local Yellow Pages and business service directory. Consider contacting local businesses. If you don't feel established enough with your business as an artist, then there are additional means of promoting your willingness and your ability to do commission work. So consider getting friendly with your local furniture hire and supply company, which is just an example to help you get kickstarted. You may also want to consider contacting local home staging businesses. Now, they're the people who set up houses that are being sold and even rental properties as well. And they set up homes for redesign and furnishings to make a place more appealing for sale. And what you're looking for is a company that supplies furniture for cafes, homes, staging, restaurants, hotels, clubs, pubs, offices, hotels, retirement villages, even community halls. These types of companies are often involved in the renovation process that take place when business owners are updating the look and feel of their restaurants, their clubs and offices. And there is always a good chance they may require the services of a local artist to help provide color and life on the walls. So why not attempt to get on their Rolodex of contacts? And if you can cater to what they're looking for, you could well be asked to join the team as part of the rejuvenation process. And depending on your niche, you may want to consider also contacting architects and designers. Now, I'd advise that if you are going to pursue that route, consider taking an architect or a designer out for a coffee so you can first introduce yourself properly. And by doing that, you'll show you have an element of professionalism. And besides, it is the designer's time you seek. So a coffee or whatever their preference is the least that you can do to reward them for their time in helping you out and pointing you in the right direction. Now, if you can show a genuine interest in them and their work first, you'll get some really good feedback, regardless if there's any opportunity for you to work alongside them or not. Although architects and designers have building codes and regulations that they have to adhere to, essentially what ends up filling the empty space in terms of building, the design and creativity first originated in their mind. So essentially they can be regarded as an artist. So think of it as one artist speaking to another, only one of you works on a much broader scale that requires abiding to, codes and legalities, of course. If the architect is good and is up with the times, they can potentially offer some great ideas and suggestions in regards to how you could distribute and incorporate your work into today's building and also decor fashion. If these types of businesses do not directly require your art services, I recommend you build a rapport with them anyway. They will always have other businesses seeking their products and their expertise. So depending on how much of an impression you have made, the architects and designers and furniture supply companies that you've built a rapport with, they may recommend you to their customers and clients. Keep an open mind to your client's suggestions. Your client is hiring you to personalize a piece of art for them, and being flexible to their suggestions helps them build further confidence in you as the artist who is going to add life to their home or their office. And I'd advise that you avoid getting stuck in a project that does not inspire you. I've done so in the past and it really sucks a lot of you in terms of your energy. Your client is hiring you to produce something that requires a lot of creativity, and if that's taken away from you because you're left with little control or input, then perhaps reconsider your options. After all, in order for your art to truly shine, there has to be that element of you in the canvas. So if it feels like it's somewhat of a production line type of project, you may just want to let it go. And if you need or want the money, then so be it. I'm in support of you paying your bills. But if you get caught producing work only to discover that you're not really growing as an artist, then you'll probably have to ask yourself if it's really worth it. And there is a flip side to all of this, of course. Sometimes your client's ideas can really help to push you out of your comfort zone. If you feel confident enough to incorporate their suggestions with some real heart, then go for it. But be sure you recognize the difference between a great challenge and a real headache. Now, keep in mind, the idea is not so much about trying to impress your client, but it's about adding value to his or her life through your art. So simply focus on doing what you do well and accept the challenges and accept them accordingly. Get to know your customer well and precisely what they want from you. In some cases, I've found that after some investigation, what people actually wanted was a reproduction of a painting they'd seen at an exhibit but missed out on because I'd already sold it. And this can make things a little difficult if you don't do replicas, as I don't. However, I'm always prepared to do a similar style, but not a replica. So what the buyer may be envisioning is owning a painting that is no longer available. And if you do reproductions of your work, then you don't really have an issue in this area of communication. But if you don't, make sure your client is going to be rational about what to expect from you. Do they understand that their piece will not share a reproduction trait to the work that you've already produced and sold? So if you can detect that they have not made that connection, then don't be afraid to be upfront about the issue. It will eliminate any potential disputes further down the track. Try to get as much feedback as you can from your client. Find out if he or she is buying your art because they love your use of color, your true expression, your depth, the texture, and the way that you use light. Now, if they are swamping you with too many details as to what they want incorporated into the piece, they could well be setting themselves up for disappointment. In particular, if what they want is not a style or technique you specialize in, nor have any interest in delving into. So ask yourself as to whether they are buying from an overly ambitious or unrealistic point of view, rather than buying because they're in awe or feel connected to your work. Hey, but don't think I'm suggesting that you walk away from a project because your client only wants your art to impress their dinner guests. I'm simply saying to be aware that he or she has realistic expectations about what they will receive from you in exchange for their money. The next one is the agreement. So depending on size, price, and the time that you're allocating to produce the work, I recommend that you have a contract available for both parties to sign. And it need not be complicated or filled with all the legal ramblings. Just ensure it clearly stipulates the important details of the project. And here's some key components that you should incorporate into the agreement. You want a brief description outlining the project and the result to be achieved. Also, an agreement that a refundable or non-refundable deposit is to be paid before commencing work on the piece, and an expected time of completion. Also, any fees associated to the client for not paying on time, it's worth considering because it can happen. Shipping and delivery, so associated costs and who is responsible for transporting the work. Agreement, the client may be allowed to inspect the progress of work as well as you start. In most cases, the project is going to be quite self-explanatory in terms of what work has to be carried out. So therefore, you may find the project description does not need to be loaded with too much detail or jargon, but there are some basics you may wish to incorporate into the agreement. The project description should cover things like the total price, including shipping and the taxes, should have the size and dimensions of the work, the materials that will be used, the subject matter, if there is one, colors that will be incorporated, if the artist or the client will be responsible for mounting the artwork, how the artwork will be treated for protection, if the artwork will be accompanied by a signed certificate of authenticity, the estimated time required to produce the artwork as well. Secure a deposit to kickstart the project, and the reason why you want to incorporate a non-refundable deposit into the agreement is to cover the cost of your startup materials. Additionally, you'll be putting in some preparation work. So you need to be paid for your time, and you'll find that most clients are happy to pay a deposit. Request anywhere from 20% to 50% non-refundable deposit is generally the way to go. Each artist varies, of course, but make sure that you have a base minimum to kickstart the project. Now, if you're just starting out, sometimes you may not always secure a non-refundable deposit agreement. However, you may not be too fussed because you're happy to be getting some work and getting some momentum with the whole procedure of producing art by commission. But as you build momentum, just remember the getting to know your client and what he or she really wants rule. And if your client feels like you really understand what they want, he or she will have confidence in you anyway, and they'll trust you completely, and they won't be too concerned about the idea of losing their deposit. And if your client doesn't want to go through with the deal based on purely on the idea that he or she won't be able to recoup their deposit, don't feel rejected. And this is a common attitude that a lot of artists receive when they first test the water with commission work. Just look at it this way: if you can afford the materials to produce the work, then go ahead and do it anyway. If it turns out that the client is not happy in the end with the end result, you still have a piece of artwork in your portfolio that you can sell at your next exhibit or a festival, or sell in your gallery. Estimated time required to produce the artwork is an important principle. You always want to know how long it takes to produce the work that you do on a regular basis. However, your client doesn't know that. So one tip I give here is to always overestimate your time that you need in regards to getting the work done. Don't feel you need to impress your client with how quickly you can produce the artwork for them. Remember, this is not about trying to impress them, but try to add massive value to your client's life. So if it takes you a day to produce a piece of artwork, then tell them that you need a week to produce it. And if it takes a week to produce a piece, tell them that you need 2 weeks. If it takes 3 weeks, then tell them you need a whole month. Leave enough time though to allow for incidentals that may slow your working schedule down. And if you are being paid well for a piece of commission art, then ensure you allocate good breathing space. And what I mean is, allow yourself plenty of leeway so that you can really sink your time and energy into the project without having to keep one eye on the clock all the time. And prepare a daily working schedule and stick to it as best that you can. The preparation process. Each artist has his or own way of approaching preparation work, and what I like to do is spend some time talking with the client in the area or the room where the art is going to be hung, and I like to really get a good idea of what they are seeing in their own mind. And I also spend a lot of time getting to know their interests and their passions in life, and you'd be surprised how ideas will surface just by chatting with the client about them. And expressing some genuine interest in the client truly opens up so much potential for you, and opens up the boundaries of understanding who they are enough to paint without hesitation, because they suddenly feel like a friend. However, having said that, I've done a complete transaction with a client and not even met them, nor seen the home that they wanted the art for. In that kind of scenario, you can simply request they give you some color and subject ideas over the phone or via email. And just one thing, if you are going to be communicating via phone or email, try to keep it brief. Ideally, you would have accessed all the information you required so that you don't have to keep making calls and sending emails to each other back and forth. However, it is a good idea to establish if you are pre-arranging a progress meeting. The reason why I mention this is because I once had a client who I was producing a piece of musical art for. I spent some hours on conceptual drawings only to send them through and receive a reply that they didn't want it that way, despite them requesting that initially. Frustrating? Yeah, but that's how it goes sometimes. That is why getting to know your client and what they want is critical, and keep in regular contact, but within reason, of course. And it's really important to do that to avoid any misunderstandings. Now, if you're dealing with a couple, sometimes one of them will have a different idea to the other, so you have to try and incorporate what they are both visualizing into one piece. And that can be fun. But if I'm making a personal visit, I like to take a couple of photos of the area where the artwork will be mounted. Incorporating some of the existing color furnishings can be really good to enhance your work and give an added expression to your client's room. And after all, I generally do some rough concept drawings. I always ask if my client wants to view these concept drawings. If they do, I simply scan them and I send them through via email. And once you have an established price, be happy if you exceed your expectations rather than be remorseful because you didn't charge enough. Don't make your project about money or make it an issue about money. Instead, bring your client into your studio and allow them to share in your excitement and progress. Let them comment and express their opinions openly. Some artists feel that by allowing their client into their domain to inspect the progress of the work, it intimidates them a little bit and stifles their creativity. I've found the opposite to be true. If your client appreciates your work enough from the get-go, then there's no need to feel intimidated. They've already trusted you enough to hand over money for something that doesn't yet exist. So, and as an artist, you should appreciate the faith that has been installed in you by your client. And additionally, your client will feel the excitement of your progress, and this can actually create a great energy for you to work even more passionately and to concentrate less on the insignificant details that may have been you've been putting too much emphasis on. Shipping the artwork. If your client lives locally, then arrange to personally deliver the artwork to their home or their office. And not only is this a really good addition to the presentation as an artist, but it also allows both of you to inspect the artwork properly. So if there's any transit damage or unexpected errors that need to be addressed, a solution to the problem can be arranged while you're both together inspecting the work. And if you have to ship the artwork out of town, interstate, or even overseas, then depending on the size of the piece, I would encourage you to seek the help of a professional shipping company. And one thing you will have to take into consideration with a good shipping company is that their packing and sending fees can often be considerably higher than your standard post or your courier service. And one thing you can do, however, is to give your client shipping options. So for example, if the size of the artwork is within the guidelines of my standard post and courier service, then what I tend to do is give the client the option of regular courier or regular post service. Therefore, I arrange packaging of the artwork myself and have the courier ship it for me. I also make sure there's a base insurance cover on the artwork in case anything goes wrong. I also give the client the option of having their art shipped by a shipping company who professionally package the artwork for me and then ship it to its destination. And this generally costs more due to fees associated to labor, materials, and the insurance. Having your artwork insured is not an option. You must do it. For one, it shows the client you have integrity, and additionally, it's peace of mind for both of you that your artwork gets lost, it's going to be covered, or stolen or damaged, it's going to be covered. Fortunately, I've never had the experience of my artwork being damaged or stolen during transit, but I've had my artwork shipped to the wrong address. One day I received a phone call from a client inquiring as to where his painting was. Now, he was due to surprise his partner with that very painting within 24 hours. It was going to be her surprise birthday present, and the painting was already 2 days late. So needless to say, the first thing I did was contact my shipping agent to politely inquire as to where my artwork had gone. And it turned out that the shipping company arrived on the doorstep to deliver the artwork only to be greeted with a, "Hey, that's not my name. I didn't order any artwork," from the homeowner. So to which the artwork was then rerouted back to the main shipping terminal. But to cut a long story short, my artwork was tracked and quickly dispersed to the rightful owner, and the shipping clerk had simply invoiced the artwork with the wrong street number. Another time I had a painting shipped interstate only to have the artwork taken off one plane, moved to another, and then redirected back to its original destination. Me, 3 days later. So rest assured that things do happen, good things, bad things, things happen. So it's always great when you're prepared. And while my artwork ended up being okay and found its destination, if I had lost them and not had any insurance, then it would have been quite frustrating, to say the least. So get your artwork insured for shipping. It will give you both and your client a peace of mind. The follow-up. If you value your business as an artist, then you'll always make a point of contacting your clients from time to time to see how they're getting on. Following up with your clients 1 week or even 2 weeks, even a month or 6 months after you've delivered and shipped the artwork, it shows you actually care for your art and your client's happiness. And not only does it show that you have a lot of integrity in what you do, but if there are any problems, they can be addressed, so adequate action can be taken to provide a solution. Also, people will notice the manner in which you operate your business. The result will be people expressing how impressed they are with your level of professionalism. They'll also be highly recommending you to their friends or business colleagues or family members. And as a result, you'll secure more business. So go out there and get some commission work. Don't underestimate the opportunities that may come your way with doing art by commission. So be flexible and offer your services as an artist openly, and you'll be exposed to a lot of great challenges and also a lot of great people. I hope you got a lot out of this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up below. If you didn't, you can always give it a thumbs down too, because that's totally okay. Better still, leave a comment in the comment section below and tell me what you got, what kind of value you got out of this video. Please subscribe to my channel and click the bell icon. That way you'll be notified when I have new content available. And thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to connecting with you again real soon and helping you advance your career as an artist. Till then, your art buddy, Carl.